Hey, yeah. Can you hear me? Do I have great audio? Do I sound awesome? Thanks for coming to watch me do some yo-yo tricks. I have a couple of things to show you, and I'll take some questions if you have any. I started yo-yoing in 2007, and about 2 years later, I was sponsored by a Canadian yo-yo manufacturer called Caribou Lodge Yo-Yo Works. One of my friends from the Bay Area got me into yo-yoing. I don't know if you're surprised by that. Yeah, I was flown about the country going to yo-yo competitions between like 2009 and 2013-ish, approximately. I have a couple of medals that I won, specifically in the Bay Area, where they have some great competition out there. And in 2011, I got a yo-yo trading card. So this is the Elliot Jackson yo-yo trading card. This one's not in very good condition. I don't have too many of them. So what you saw was two different styles of yo-yoing. It was 1A, where the yo-yo is tied to my finger, and it is sleeping at the bottom of the string. So you throw the yo-yo, and it sits there and spins at the bottom of the string for a very, very long time. And then when I'm ready, instead of tugging it back to me like old school style, I have to do a special trick to get it back to my hand. And then you also saw what's called 5A, or counterweight yo-yoing, where the yo-yo is not attached to my finger, but instead is attached to a counterweight, and you can spin both the yo-yo and the counterweight at the same time. Any questions about yo-yos and yo-yoing? Any questions from the audience? We have, there's 5 different styles of yo-yoing. There's 1A through 5A. So I demonstrated 1A and 5A. There's 2A, 3A, 4A as well. These look totally different from what I just did. Is there a question?
Yes, there is a question from the audience. What kind of people did you meet in yo-yo competitions?
Yeah, the crowd, the yo-yo crowd, the yo-yo community is, I would say, primarily between the ages of like 14 and 23-ish. And a lot of nerdy people, which was great for me. You know, there are also some older folks in the community that have been around since the early days of Duncan yo-yos. But primarily it's kind of like nerdy-ish kids who you're primarily meeting in the yo-yo community. But everybody is so welcoming and so sweet and so excited to share tricks with you, etc.
How did you develop your personal yo-yo style?
Oh, that is such a good question. And a lot of people don't even recognize that there is stylistic differences in yo-yoing. But as artists, most can tell. So the way most artists develop style, I think, is through practice and you know, copying other people's tricks, for example, just to kind of get a feel for what types of tricks are out there and what you like versus what you don't like. So that's primarily what I did. I had a teacher, my friend Guy, who got me into the yo-yo community, the one I mentioned from the Bay Area. And he had a very slow style, and I really gravitated towards that. So I kind of took that idea and ran with it. Now in competition, going slow with your tricks is not always great because you have a certain amount of time, and if you can get more tricks packed into that 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you can score more points and get a better result. So a lot of my competitions, I didn't score tons of points. I placed fairly well because of my originality, but I had more of a slow speed as far as yo-yoing goes, and I really tried to come up with simple but creative tricks. Awesome question, thank you. Any others? There was one other skill toy that I wanted to show you guys that you might be interested in. It's a little bit more approachable at first as far as like a skill curve, but it is actually a lot harder than yo-yoing at the highest level. So this is a kendama. So you might have seen this. They kind of blew up like 5 or 6 years ago in the US. This is a Japanese skill toy, and it's sort of the ball and cup idea, where you have a ball on a string attached to the wooden handle, which has a big cup, a small cup, and then a cup on the handle as well. So you can pop up the ball and catch it in the wooden handle. You can switch cups if you're tricky enough. I was never good enough to get sponsored for kendama, but I always had a lot of fun. It's a good challenge. And if you're really good, you can spike it, spike the ball that has the hole in it on the little spike here. So the idea is to pop it up and see if I can do it and spike it. There you go. Anyway, a lot of fun. You can buy these pretty cheap online. Kind of addicting as far as mastering a technical skill, but this is a fun one. Kendama. Are
there also kendama competitions?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It works pretty differently than yo-yoing, but I remember the company that I worked with a little bit when I was practicing kendama was Kendama USA, check them out. They have basically access to some of the best kendamas. There's also Sweets kendamas. You can check them out too if you're interested in playing kendama. And then as far as yo-yoing, one of my close friends, he has a yo-yo company called Recess Yo-Yos. I think on Instagram it's Recess INTL, like Recess International. He makes really awesome yo-yos. If you're looking for more of a beginner yo-yo, you can go to yoyoexpert.com. They're an online e-commerce store selling mostly just yo-yos. I think you could probably find some kendamas on there as well. But they have some beginner yo-yos that are great to start out with. And they're more of like the traditional style, like this yo-yo. You can see it's really skinny. It's got a cute little face on it as well, compared to the yo-yos that I use, which are really kind of like fat, wide. They have an H-shaped profile. But the old school ones are the ones that maybe you would want to start out with, where you throw it and it comes right back, usually, unless it's broken. And then it doesn't come back. This one's broken.
Have you ever gotten a yo-yo injury?
Yeah, for sure. When you're first starting out, you definitely hit yourself with the yo-yo fairly often. And you also tie a lot of knots. That's a problem when you first start yo-yoing. Is you're like half the time you're picking apart like little knots that you created in your string. But I definitely one time remember doing a yo-yo trick and having it kind of do something crazy, and it cut the bridge of my nose. Not too bad, it bled a tiny bit, but I've seen people with black eyes. I've heard of people knocking some teeth out. That would be probably one of the worst injuries you could have yo-yoing. And I've seen people on stage accidentally hit themselves in the face during a performance. So that's never fun. I'm glad that didn't happen today. Any other cues?
Looks like we're questioned out.
Okay. Well, thanks for checking out my yo-yo show and kendama show. If you have any questions later, feel free to contact Natalie or anyone at 8Ball, and they can send them my way. I can also put together a small list of links you could check out if you're interested in seeing other videos of people yo-yoing. There's some cool competition yo-yos, but there's also some like highly edited yo-yo trick videos that are really fun to watch. I've made some of those in the past, and then there are online stores and some other content sites that I can share with you guys. But thanks again for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.